Reichard and his family. His mother passed away this past week, so please keep Rick and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Will you pray with me, please? Father God in heaven, we thank you for the day that you have given us all. Thank you for loving us just like we are, as imperfect as we are. Tune our hearts to better serve you and to follow the motto of our Rotary Club, service above self. We pray for our new club president, Alan, as he begins our Rotary New Year, giving the guidance and direction to make decisions that are best for our club. Thank you for the bounty of food that we have before us and for those who have prepared it. Bless it to our bodies so that we may serve you better. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Introduction of the guests and disciplinarians. Josh, Family Rotary, Josh Chapman.
All right, I'm going to try to fill the big shoes of Terry Duffy today with Family of Rotary. I'd like to wish Mr. Lester Stewart 96th birthday. He turned 96 back on June 25th. But we hadn't met in the last couple of weeks, so if you see Lester out and about, wish him a happy birthday. Other birthdays we're celebrating: July 14th, Brooks Newell of Walter Hill. Happy birthday, Walter. Tomorrow, Mr. Tom West, July 15th. And July 20th, Demetrius Bowden. Anniversaries that we're celebrating: Bob Rudder and Pam on July 16th. And then Wes and Terry Grant on July 19th. All y'all have a great day today. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Introduction of guests visiting the hearing. Got that one.
There you go. We're happy to welcome our guests visiting Rotarians today. So I call your name and please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized. We have Shirley Cosby, yes to Mayor Saliba. Emily Long, yes to Charles Button. Angie Saliba, yes to Mayor Saliba. McDowell Pinkard, yes to Les Pinkard. And then Noah McNeil, yes to Bruce Pinkard. All right, are there any guests or other particulars that I missed today? Well, thank you for visiting Dothan Rotary.
Thank you, Board. Ken Aston, Fran Levine. Can you hear me? Okay, this morning we have 39 points. Are you ready? The winning ticket number is 141573. Amen. 141573.
All right,
10 of diamonds. Thank everyone for being here. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Just a couple of announcements. First, I would like to start off with the Rotary Minute. We've done some of this before. These come across every week on the Rotary website. Rotary has 120 years of commitment to service. Celebrated its anniversary on February 23rd this year. 120 years, founded in 1905 by Paul Harris. Rotary is now a global organization with 1.4 million members dedicated to making the world a better place. Since its inception, Rotary has carried out countless humanitarian and professional initiatives. This Polio Plus program has reduced polio by 99.9%, protecting millions of children. The organization also works in fields of health, access to clean water, education, literacy, peace, the environment, and economic development. These 120 years are an opportunity to celebrate these achievements and to continue our commitment to the most vulnerable of us in the world. Each club, each Rotarian, each one of us contributes in their own way to write stories of solidarity in this cause. Together, let us continue to apply service to ourselves and promote Rotary's values around the world. Moving on to other announcements, I would like to congratulate two of our own, Lawrence Johnson and Adam Dozier, being selected Dothan area young professionals, elite under 40. I'd like to announce Dr. Dothan Rotary, new president of Wallace College, will have a reception this Thursday, 4:30 to 6 p.m. at Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. Please attend if at all possible. And now, I would like to ask Noah McNeil to come forward and tell us about his trip to Italy and visit with Rotary Club in another country. Thank you, Noah.
So earlier in June, last month, I went on a trip to Italy, and our first stop was Venice. And so after we had walked around Venice for a little bit, we were heading back to our hotel, saw a sign that looked like the Rotary sign. So I just naturally I took a picture of it. And I told my dad. And he said, "Oh, let's just go in there real quick, and we'll see. We'll look around." And so there's this lady that asked us, like, "What are y'all doing in here?" She's like, "Well, we saw this Rotary sign. So where y'all from?" And we said, "From Alabama. We have a Rotary club back there." And he said, "Well, let me introduce you to the president that we have here." And he walks up to us, and then his English wasn't very good, but came up to us and started asking us, like, where y'all from? How do y'all know about Rotary? And we told him that our grandfather was the past district attorney for Rotary. And then he started telling us about how his parents founded the club back in 1924, and then how they recently had the 100th anniversary of the Rotary Club. And then he showed us this flag for the Rotary Club, and he just told us to go give this to our grandfather back in Dothan when he gets there, and see if he can contact him as well. Now I want to present the flag to the Dothan Rotary Club from the Venice Rotary Club.
Thank you, Bill. So y'all never thought about visiting the club when you're out of town? You know, most areas do have, in this country especially, have a Rotary Club. You'd be surprised people you can meet. If you're frugal, you may get a complimentary lunch out of it. You know, I've been to meetings as I go through the presidency program And I've been in meetings with clubs that have 15 members and had over 200 members. And you get a lot of input about what's going on and what Rotary can do and what we can do here and possibly partner with some of these other clubs. Don't miss that opportunity if you can. Now I'd like to turn the program over to full time. Introduce our guest, our mayor, Mark Saliba.
I'll be brief because most of you know who our speaker is today, but it is my honor and privilege to introduce our speaker, Mark Saliba, who is our past, present, and future mayor of Dothan, Alabama. Mark.
You know, I like to get down here where I can see you a little bit better, get close. And if you don't mind, I want to take this off because I'm gonna get hot in a minute. And so, you know, I want to go ahead and get comfortable, if that's okay with everybody. I've known Noah since he was, I don't know, somewhere around that height. And so it's been great to see his becoming more and more mature. He passed me in height about the 5th grade. Don't like me to talk bad about myself, but I can't help it. I'm shrinking, I got less hair, my ears are getting bigger. I feel I look like Yoda, so, you know, it's okay. Better to be like this than the other way, right, Jeff? Thank you. Wayne Palmer told me before I got started, he said, now if you see me slipping out early, not to take it personal. And I said, well, I will take it personal. He said, well, Mr. John and I have a meeting to go to. And I said, well, that's the only excuse you got. You're allowed to go a little early. But it always feels good to be here in Monday Rotary. It feels very comfortable. And I want to just tell you how much I always appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you. And I will try to update you on a few things. Wayne had also at least an excuse that he heard me speak last Monday at the AGC, the Associated General Contractors. So he said, I don't want to hear the same thing twice. And I said, well, I don't blame you. And I'll try not to do that. I will open it up for questions in a little bit and ask whatever fastball, curveball you can throw me. Because it keeps me on my toes, and I appreciate that as well. You know, I don't think you've seen this PowerPoint, and I'm not going to go through every single slide because you probably heard me talk about it before. But one of the things that I always like to do is try to educate you a little bit too on municipal government, because it is a little bit different from state and federal government, and we're a little bit different from most other municipal governments in the state of Alabama. We're not all created in the same kind of way. And so two of the things that we really are responsible for, and that's fiscal responsibility. That is how money is spent, the taxpayers' dollars that come in, how that money is spent. The other is the visionary aspect of it. What is our prioritization of the issues of the day, or what are the things that we're going to move forward and spend our monies on? So we give that guidance to our city manager, who is like the president of the company, and he and his department heads formulate their business plan that runs then the city's daily operations of our city government. I tell this over and over again, hopefully so that people will hear. The mayor can't fix everything. I wish I could, but a lot of people will call me about everything. I have to go through most of the time, our city manager. That's what he is there for. That's why it's extremely important when you hear us deliberating and talking about hiring. We only hire 2 people, city manager and our municipal judge. So we're the only ones we're allowed to by ordinance is who we hire. It's just those 2 people. So I give you a little bit about that, and I titled this PowerPoint yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because I think it's important that when you do know, and why is that clicking, that I got to turn it on, right? Shirley says turn it on.
Should be on.
It should be on.
Batteries.
Yeah. No, it's not doing it. There you
How far you want to go?
go. Huh?
Where you want to go?
Oh, I got it. All right. I'm not gonna, yes, I'm sorry, I was going backwards. That's why I'm taking pictures right later. I love the history part of our city. And it means a lot because it's good to know where you've been, and where you're going. And I love the fact that there have been city leadership in the past that recognized there were certain times in the life of our city that it's time to look forward and see where we need to be. If you were here in the city of Dothan, when I was born, which I'll give you is 1960, you would know that everything just about was inside the city limits, inside, the circle. Most of our city was inside the circle, and we were a much smaller city. By 1974, of course, we had grown. We were around 36,000 people. We're around now 72,000 people. So you can see that in my lifetime, how much we have grown and where we are headed. We have grown by 9% almost every census. So every 10 years, we're growing by about 9%. If that continues to grow like that in our metropolitan area, this city could be in about 10 and 20 years, we could be in the range of 90,000 people. So we always have to keep that in mind, whoever is in city leadership, community leadership, whether that's the chamber, I see Mr. Children's here from school, board, whoever it is, that's what we all got to keep in mind because we are a growing community and we got to be prepared for that. Unfortunately, that means we also have to keep spending money on infrastructure. And it's your number one thing that inconveniences everybody, and I get all the social media all the time, and that is road construction. And but that is what we have to have in order to continue to bring the revenue in to the city of Dothan, to help continue to take care of the infrastructure, to pay for those things of quality of life that you want us to pay for, or you want us to spend money on. If you remember back in the day, you were here many moons ago, Wiregrass Park was where our high school played football. That's where all of our sports, where we had minor league baseball at one time was at Wiregrass Park until somebody came along and said, let's do something really big and build Rippey Stadium for a whopping number of $482,000, of which we just spent $14 million not too long ago revitalizing Rippey Stadium. So it was built in 1963. I was just 3 years old. But somebody had the vision to say, what do we need to look like over the next 20, 30, and 40 years? And so I think that's where we are in the life of the city. For those, again, of you that have been here for a really long time, like I have, you know that Westgate Park was where our airport was. That was our airport before they moved out in 1974 and moved out to Napier Field where it is today. It was abandoned, it had weeds, it had all that. Mayor Jimmy Grant came along with his commission and those who were around there and said, let's turn it into a park. And they did. It's one of our best parks. We now have. I got to move around, so I'm sorry. So I will talk about this if you. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll count.
So one of the things I won't go real long on this slide, but the big orange or red, whatever color that is, sales and use tax. The thing that I always like to make mention of that as well is that of every dollar that comes in, every dollar of revenue that comes into the city coffers that we are responsible for spending it on is a sales tax dollar. So that tells you how important it is for us to make sure that people, the 450,000 people that are within 50 miles of the city of Dothan, that can come into our city. That's why it's so important that they come in here, is because most of our revenue is generated through a sales tax dollar. And also needs for those of you that are in the business world, to keep up with the ever-changing times of internet sales, online sales, is causing us to do business in a different way. Every single person in here does business buying things online, wherever that is. And I would never suggest that you not do that. But that also is changing the way our economy is. And so as our brick and mortar stores, sales tax revenue is here, that's been coming down a little bit, and because it's separated, online sales tax continues to grow. And so they're kind of doing it like this, and kind of, we don't know how far they will come together, but how that internet sales tax is gathered around the state is a huge topic by most of the cities that are out there. 465 cities in the state of Alabama, and at least the top 50 are affected in a major way by how sales, how the SSUT, or online sales tax revenue, is collected. That is a big state topic, and it's something that I don't think is going away anytime soon. And it'd be one that, unfortunately, Representative Lee will have to deal with at some point, I think, in the near future. But that is a part of our economy that you need to be aware of. That's just something that we're having to always keep our eyes on as well. So moving right along, you can see the thing that's what everybody in media reports on is how much sales tax we have, how much sales tax revenue we generate. And yes, we have grown since over the last 10 years. Our sales tax revenue has grown, and we're in the 90 million a year for sales tax revenue. But this is at the point where I'll tell you that if you're like your business, if you're only looking at one side of the ledger, if you're only looking at the money that comes in, and you're not looking at the numbers on the money that's going out, then you're probably not going to be in business very long. And so the monies that are required to run a city like Dothan, that's the 8th largest city in the state of Alabama out of 465 cities, it is a large load. I'll give you one example. I'll use this one because it's easy for people to hear. So we have to know where the stormwater basins are. If you don't know what a stormwater basin is, the easiest way is when the creek rises and your house floods, you're in a stormwater basin. And so we have to know where all of those basins are in the city, because there are some that where houses will get flooded, and we need to be able to fix those. We have 8 stormwater basins stretched out along everywhere in the city limits. One of the first ones that was chosen by previous staffs before was the Girard Basin. Now, Girard Basin doesn't mean it just runs up and down Girard. That's just to give it the name, but it can go from Choctaw, Cherokee area, all the way out to the Circle, all in that area. But wherever water is flowing down in from all direction, and we get a big rain event, one basin, that basin alone, will cost us over $50 or $60 million to fix. One basin, do that times 8. The infrastructure costs are just there. So when you hear about, that there's a lot of money coming into the city, know that there's always a lot of need that's out there. That's just stormwater. That doesn't have to do with the water that's under the ground. That doesn't have the water pipe get you water. That doesn't have anything to do with sewer. Sewer is expensive. The road work is expensive. It's hard to so just know that when we look at expenditures, that is a big concern, is that we will always have to spend money on maintenance of the city that's over 100-something years old. It's just always going to be there. If we have to resurface Westgate, we will do before long, we got to start setting aside that money. But you know how much that's going to cost? About $8 million just to resurface. And so right now, we continue to reinvest and invest in our infrastructure. It's extremely important. Other point I wanted to show you about is expenditures is the big green piece of the pie over there, and that is public safety. You've heard me when I've come here talk about from the past how important it is, we think, that you feel like that public safety is, whether we're talking about crime or whether we're talking about fire safety or whether we're talking about emergency response. We know that our citizens want to make sure that we are covering that we are taking care of that, and that we are investing in that. Some 10 years ago, when it was not popular to be a police officer, it was extremely hard to get a full force of police officers to work for the city each and every day. Who wants to come to work where you have to tell people, no, you can't, respond to somewhere where a crime is taking place. It is a hard job. Who's gonna sign up to be a firefighter to run into a building that's on fire? Or go out to a wreck and make sure somebody that can pull somebody out of the wreck and make sure they're taken care of. We have to have that public safety, but you can see it's right around right now, well, at 24, it's around 30%. It's gonna be around 35% as we continue to move forward. But we're spending the money there because we feel like that's what you want. If your parent, if you or your grandparent has a heart attack somewhere in the middle of the city or somewhere on the edges of the city, you want to make sure we can get to you in a certain amount of time. And so that's why we continue to do things like invest in our fire stations. We'll move on pretty quickly, and you can see that at the fire station. Where we have invested, you heard me speak a little while ago about spending money at Rickey Stadium. We spent money at Water World, as well as some of the other. I wanted to get to the Opera House. If you haven't been to the Opera House since the renovation has gotten done, please sign up for something, whether it's a play that's coming or whether it's a concert. We have taken the Opera House. We have taken what used to be, believe it or not, was most of City Hall and an entertainment venue. So that was where a lot of the city offices was at the Opera House. We've taken it and we've spent money by the electrical, all the electrical work, all the plumbing work, all the heating and air conditioning, floor covering, repainting, new sound, new light, everything. It's brand new on the inside. We kept the structure on the outside since it isn't one of our historical buildings. We added a pre-event, post-event space that can be used and rented for other things like economic development announcements and as well. It's a beautiful building on the side. Please make sure you get to see the Opera House. The other piece that we are hoping that will be done by the end of this month or this next month, August, is the Porter Park, which is up on Foster Street, and then winding back down next to the Opera House, which is our events plaza. All of that will be done by the end of August, and then so that first phase, the Opera House, Porter Park, and the events plaza will be completely done. It is our goal. It is my intention to try to get some of these projects done before we start anything else. I know it is terribly inconvenient when we have a lot of infrastructure work going. I know it is. I ride the same roads. My car gets jolted and bumped. My teeth rattle when I come up and down Main Street, 84. And we're trying to get all of that work done just as quickly as we possibly can. Once we get that work done underneath 84 on Main Street, then AlDOT comes in, because that's still 84. We call it Main Street, but that's still Highway 84. And they're going to resurface. And once that's done, you and I probably won't see much work done on Main Street for the next 10, 15, maybe at least 10 or 15 years. And so we will be in a really good place on our Main Street company as well. I know that's got to get an amen. Proud. Yeah, thank you. The pickleball complex. We just did our groundbreaking on the pickleball complex. I've seen good reviews and I've seen some bad reviews. I've seen some people that are happy with it, and I've seen some people that are, why did you spend money on pickleball? I don't know of anything that we've ever done where everybody was 100% happy. But I will say that pickleball in sports is one of the ways that we are able to generate revenues that helps us to pay for the infrastructure work that I just mentioned. So we don't make enough money. Remember, we're a service business. We're not a for-profit business. We don't make enough money to take care of all the things that we need to take care of. So sports is one of those facilities and one of those places that we can generate revenue. You've probably heard me say before that that on any good weekend, whether it will be a pickleball tournament or whether it will be a softball tournament or a baseball tournament, that we can drive lodging tax revenues and sales tax revenues close to $500 million. It doesn't take long for us to pay off that investment and then use that money to continue to do and take care of the things that need to be taken care of in the city. It's just one of those sports in our area is popular. And all over the state of Alabama, it generates revenue. You go to any other city, and they will have some kind of sportsplex where they have invested in it, and it drives and generates revenues. I think it was a good decision by everybody in the commission and others as well. Could we have spent the money somewhere else? Absolutely. Every topic that comes up, we can ask the same question. Do we spend that on homelessness and poverty? Do we spend that on, I don't know, something else? Somebody always says, get us a Whataburger. I'm like, Whataburger. I'm thinking, what? We can't buy every franchise code by you take. But we can find places to spend the money. We're going to continue to do that. But we also have put a lot of thought into where we are, where we're investing your dollars. And so please, if you ever feel like we're not doing that in the best way, contact the commissioner, contact me. Please let us know. We want to make sure that we are doing that. Wiregrass Innovation Center, I think you've heard me speak on that. I will answer any questions in a little bit if you'd like me to. Should be done by about February, March of next year. I expect it to, we're already going to have a couple of new announcements of who's going in there, besides just Wiregrass, Hudson Alamo Wiregrass. We already have some companies that are coming in that are going to be there. We continue to have conversations with Auburn University, with the University of Alabama. We have an MOU in the works with Tuskegee University for collaboration from them and students coming in and maybe doing internships there as well. It's going to provide some opportunities for our Noahs of the world, our children and our grandchildren moving forward that we have just not had before. And so that's part of the reason for our investment there as well. The new city hall, that's what I get again, spend money on it or not. You have to say, there are some that are out there that are going to say, why are you going to have to spend that much money on the new city hall? Why are we going to do that? The decision has not been done hastily. We have spent years talking about this now. And we, if you remember the Opera House, they built the Civic Center in 1974. And in 1974, that Civic Center was built not only as a city hall, but as an entertainment venue as well. And in the 70s, for a town that was in its 30,000s, 40,000, that worked well for us. Now, the architectural style, that round dome that was so popular in the 70s, if you remember, if you follow Mobile and some of the other cities, they had a very similar dome, and it has just not worked out well for larger events and the possibility of getting more events in that can, again, possibly generate revenue in our city. And so the decision to build a new city hall that's not an entertainment venue, but is only going to be a campus for those citizens that need to come to the city to do business. And so you have to remember, again, that we are growing by 9 or 10% every 10 years. And so what do we need in order to service our citizens the way that we need to when we get to be 80,000 and 90,000 and possibly more over the next 50 years? And we feel like this campus, with what we're doing there, will fill those needs. It's a hard decision. Nobody in the commission just sits there and goes, oh, it's only 50, 60 million. Let's just spend that. It is a very hard decision that was made through a lot of talk, a lot of conversations, a lot of looking at the numbers, and moving forward. Going to, at this time, I don't know what time it is. What time? Yeah. How many? 2-0. Okay. What would you like to hear about? What would you like me to answer? Because I would, instead of continuing to talk, I would love to answer some of your questions if you have them. Somebody. Yep, Jerry.
Is there a plan to pull in honeysuckle all the way across?
The plans are to, yes, sir. We are still buying right of way from 84, going on Honeysuckle, to Fortner, to 52, to South Park, to Campbellton Highway, where the county built that roundabout over there. That will be our first ever new road in a really, really long time. The city just doesn't build new roads very often. Most of your new roads are in neighborhoods and subdivisions like we build, but the city doesn't build many new roads. There's a good reason why, is because they're expensive. But from South Park, we're going to fix that intersection as it hits Park. And when it hits Park, and then we're going to build a road from there off to that way, that will be the first new leg. Now, what I do feel like, and we feel like it will do, is open up another part of our city for some future economic development and growth. So we have a really nice facility out there with James Oaks Park. And so you want to build economy around your community assets. And so there's a lot of tournaments that can be held, that are held out there. If we can connect that road and create a place too to get traffic off of the circle and lessen that amount of traffic that's on the circle, that's something that we would like to see done. But I also think it would open it up to some economic development, some businesses, hotels, retail, restaurants, and probably residential as well. Residential is already growing out that way near James Oaks Park, as it is. So it still is in the plans. We still will continue to start setting aside some monies for that road. But again, it's not cheap. We got to prioritize that. Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. Yes, sir.
This weekend, we noticed that flags at the new fire station were hashed out for the both of the businesses that they weren't. I was just curious, who has the authority to determine these flags?
The city of Dothan follows the governor, and the governor, will usually say we're going to fly our flags at half-mast, and we take our cues from the governor and follow whatever it is that they decide to do. I think that's something that's been done representing the league for quite some time. Is that's their way of doing it. That's what. No, sir. They just follow that protocol from the governor's office. Another question? Come on, man. Yes, sir.
The occupancy of the Civic Center versus the new event plaza that's going to be built in a couple of years. What's the difference?
So the events plaza is obviously just for outdoor events, some things that take place outside. What we're going to focus on next is what I would say is the city center block. So that is where the administration building is now in the Civic Center, as well as the dome, which I would say called the arena. We hope that we can come to some collective decisions on what that will look like. We've had lots of conversations over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, talking with Museum of Arts, Cultural Arts Center, SEAC, all of the arts and culture group to figure out what it is that we might can do collectively that's bigger than them doing something individually. We have also talked about and looked at and gathered data from other entities outside of the city, JLL, if you're familiar with the large real estate national company, and others to figure out, okay, if we decide to build a different shaped arena, what would go in there that would generate revenues again and pay for itself, and or what size concerts could be held there? What kind of market are we? Jelly Roll was here how long ago, Angie? I don't know. Before he got discovered, I didn't even know who Jelly Roll was. We'd have a hard time getting Jelly Roll now. We're just not a market where we're probably going to get that, give me a name of somebody. Taylor Swift. There we go. Not one on the top of my list, but Taylor Swift. We're not getting Taylor Swift here. It doesn't matter how big of an arena we get. We're a market that's going to capture a certain size concert. So we're looking at that data. We don't want to build something too small. You don't want to build something too big. Never do film on. And so it's something that we'll just have to come to. We know we'd like to have a nice hotel, not that there's not. We like to have a hotel in the downtown area connected to that block as well. We know that that would also mean a parking deck. We know that the challenges of parking continues to be something that everyone feels concerns about. So if we build a hotel, we already have 2 or 3 hotel groups that like to be in the downtown area. And of course, we'll not build that, and we won't own that. So that would be held privately as well. We want to continue to create public space. And in today's world of planning and development, they call that third space. So that's the place where you go. It's not at home, it's not at work, first and second, but that third place, and that is where you go and you go relax, you go to eat out, you go to shop, you go to see a concert. We want to create that public space and make those opportunities in our downtown area as well. If the downtown area ever goes down, most cities start to go down as well. So we really have to make sure that we can get to do that. But that is, I think I've answered the question. Thank you. That is what the intentions is. The outdoor space at the events plaza, we can have small groups playing in the park, and as well as other events or just kids hanging out while mom and dad have a cup of coffee on the back of the deck over there and watch the kids play. Just having another place for public space. Thank you. More questions, please.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
Is that just, if you're speaking of that, I've not thought of that, is that outside event area, is that to be rented, or is that to be booked out, or
It
anybody
can,
show up?
yeah, it can be booked out. The same, I guess, performing arts, which is Slade Institute, handles an opera house and civic center at this particular time, will be in charge of that space as well. And yes, it could be rented for private events as well, as public use. If you don't know, if you haven't been to the opera house, we have built a public restroom behind it over there so that in the event that you are in the downtown area, you don't have to go into some of the shops or the restaurants there just to use their restroom. But if you're there in the events plaza, you have a place for a public facility as well. Yes, sir.
Where would this parking deck go?
Well, as we continue to talk about how that block will be laid out, then we'll make that decision. I would assume that wherever a hotel is going to go, it would be close to that, so that the spaces could be used for a hotel. Some spaces used for a hotel, some for other events. You know, and again, for those that are probably general contractors in the room, you know, parking decks have just more than doubled in cost over the last, 10, 15 years. Used to, you could count on a parking deck costs about $18,000 a space. Now it's more like $50,000 a space. So they're just not cheap. You can't ever charge enough to park there to pay for that. So when people say, well, let's just build a parking deck, you got to know that that's again another fiscal decision that has to be made. Can we park more people horizontally than we can, vertically? And that's the economics of parking. But we are always looking to do that. We continue to pick up some smaller pocket places to park, and we'll continue to do so as long as we can in the downtown area. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Is there still a roundabout in talks downtown?
In theory, I'll say. So the challenge of again, Main Street, a lot of people, we want to keep calling Main Street, is Highway 84. That is an Alabama Department of Transportation road. That's a state highway. They dictate what goes on there. They dictate the traffic light is there, a turn lane is there, who fixes the potholes, all of that design. So as we have looked at with architects on design, at one time we have looked at a roundabout there, but as challenging as it is to work with, as challenging it is to work with Aldon on figuring out how to maneuver through all of that, I would say that roundabout may be further off than it is closer to ever coming to fruition. I will tell you, the controversy, I'm trying to be as tactful as I can without saying anything bad about Alabama, because listen, we are blessed to have the monies that they have spent in our area over the last 5 years. It's been work on the part of our Wiregrass delegation with Representative Lee and others that helps us get those dollars to get spent in our area on the state road. So the circle work, 84 work, all these updates that are safety issues or safety procedures. They're following the protocols the state has in place. All of that gets funded by the state. Now we have pitched in money on 84 from the circle out to past Flowers Hospital, out to Brandon Stand Road. We're using Atria grants, which is gas tax money, and we're matching our state to help because we have 23,000 cars a day that come up and down that road. And so, and that's just continuing to get more and more. The thing that I would say that you need to keep your ear to, your eye on, is there is some conversation about how we slow down the traffic as it comes through downtown. Well, how do you make it more pedestrian friendly? We can't tell the 18-wheelers to not come down that street. That's Highway 84. That's Aldot's jurisdiction. And they're not going to say that because their mission is to, as safely as possible, get vehicles up and down their highways and their roadways. And so they're not going to say no 18-wheelers once it turns inside the circle. There has been talk about doing what's called a road diet from where Houston County Courthouse is to the other side of where that roundabout was. It's a very short distance, but it would create a lane going this way from west to east, and a lane going from east to west, and one center turn lane. That would get it down to one lane in that area. Now the models say that works. I'm a little bit skeptical because I don't want to get all the phone calls. All that gets backed all the way up because it worries us and anybody that's sitting on the commission that won't work. Now the idea has been to, as we are fixing what's underneath Main Street 84, before they resurface it permanently, is to stripe it that way and experiment with it for 2 or 3 months and see if it really works. If it doesn't, then they come in and they resurface it, and then they can put it back the way it is. And so that's something for you to know. Something that you should, if you have some input, if you have businesses, if you have concerns, if you work at the hospital, Southeast Health, if you live on the northwest side of town, then you need to know about it. I'm not going to ever sit here and not be transparent with you, but that is a conversation that's taking place, and it's one that kind of worries me a little bit about that decision. We should be working on talking a little bit more about that as it gets closer and closer to the time to consider restriking that as well. The only other way to fix that is for us to swap the road. So we can swap roads with the state. And we can take that section of road between the circle and the circle and take that and turn it into Main Street. But then the city would be responsible forever and ever, amen, on all the costs that would be incurred on that section. But that is about the only other option we have with that. And my thought was, well, if we're ever going to calculate that, now after we've spent the money underneath the road, fixing water, sewer, stormwater inlets, they repave it, then now would be the time to consider doing that. Yes, sir.
Tell us about City Hall. Are you gonna farm out some of the or the recreation department and others, or everything gonna be in City Hall? And how big?
Yes, sir. No, sir. So right now we've already moved sports and leisure or A lot of places call it now Park and Rec, but they're already out at Westgate. And what the plans are is to take that fire station that we abandoned and built the two new ones, one and the next one over there, and create that office for sports, for Parks and Leisure. And so we will have some personnel there. It's closest to our largest park, Westgate, and we'll get them out from underneath the downtown area. General services will still stay out. Dothan Utilities most of Dothan Utilities, electrical department at least, will still be out on the park. But all the others that have been in and out Civic Center, will be inside the new building. We split the two buildings, so when we did the calculations on the Dothan Eagle building, we said, all right, do we keep it and renovate it, or do we tear it down? So you just, in construction, are not aware, any of the older buildings have a ton of asbestos and lead paint. And to get asbestos and lead paint out of a building is extremely expensive. We saved, I think the number was around $2 million by tearing the building down and building new over renovating and remodeling it. I know that sounds crazy, but in today's way of doing construction and having to follow all the ADM and EPA rules that you have to follow in construction, that lost the case. And so in that place, the two separate buildings will be the HR, Human Resources Department, and
IT.
IT will be out of there. So all of those will be there, but everybody else will be there. All the services that you will use would be in that main building. I think that building is somewhere around 50-something thousand, 55,000, and the one behind it is a lot smaller. Than there.
Are you gonna close Troy Street?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Last question, Mayor.
Yes.
Noel wants to know how old he has to be to run for mayor.
19. Any other questions?
I just want to say what a great job Clay and his team is doing with the entertainment that's coming in here. It's diverse, it's much more attractive, so many different groups, and I just appreciate what he and his team are doing.
Thank you. I agree. I appreciate you saying that. I think he has done a fabulous job. And we went to Tom Petty tribute band, and then a young man in country from Sampson on Saturday night, and both great events. And of course, I grew up in the Tom Petty era. Love the music and concert. It's a great venue to go to as well. Any other questions about anything that's coming up? Yes.
Not a question. I just want to compliment you too. I know public safety does cost a lot of money, and thank you for pointing that out. But I had the great pleasure and honor to work with, particularly with your police and fire departments for 34 years while I was at the airport. And I gotta tell you, they're second to none. And it's because you invest in them and you have really good people working there. And I don't know if enough citizens appreciate how much they do literally behind the scenes and what goes on all the time. We are very, very blessed to have the fire department with an ISO 1 rating, which is the best in the state, and have a very professional police department and the public safety center out there. So thank you, Troy.
Yes.
Public safety center too. That it's fabulous, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And we have some pieces of our community that are extremely important. The airport is obviously is one as well. Our partnership and collaboration with Fort, I guess it's back in Fort Rucker now, is extremely important. And making sure we have that open at all times. We have solicited some federal funding to help us with drainage around the runways. You can't have a runway that shuts down in a large rain event. So we've been successful in getting some federal dollars this past year. Hopefully, now the budget's passed, But it's a big piece of who we are. We have two or three great companies. We have some more coming along the way. We have some great economic development announcements that are coming within even a week or two. So I do think we're blessed, and we've got a great team, a great community that works together well. Thank you.
Mayor, will you be available for questions after? Always a pleasure to have you with us. Next week's program will be Katie Holland, the rest of here. Thank you to all the guests and those who helped the program today. Caitlin, Mark, Fran, James, Josh, Les, Chris, and Noah. Participating in making this meeting successful. If you will, let's stand and say the four-way test. Of the things say.
Is it the truth? Is it false, sir? Will it be beneficial? Good. Yeah.
Oh, I see you all. You got the drawing today. Big one. Yeah, big dollars.
I know it.